Welcome everybody back to the channel. This is 2530 Media, and of course, I am Aaron Reed. Hey, if you're new here, don't make it your last time. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you will be notified when I release these videos, which I try to do at least once a week. And of course, if you're finding this information informative or slightly entertaining, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button. So today we're exploring my first commonplace book or journal. A commonplace book or journal is simply a catch-all for those thoughts, ideas, conversations, all of that. I kind of look at a commonplace journal as something that I would use to write information about myself that I will let a friend, family member, or complete stranger read just to get an idea of who I am in a more personal space, but not too personal. For my first commonplace book, I'm going to start with two categories. One is going to be ideas and insights. Anything that piques my interest will go into that ideas and insights group. So the next category that I will start with will just be reflections. Reflections will be where I throw in those daily quotes that I like to find in the morning to start my day. Maybe some information from something I'm reading. If let's say I'm at a seminar or I'm in a meeting and someone gives those one or two inspirational lines that I want to keep for later on, I'll throw that stuff in there as well. So those are the two genres for my commonplace book or journal that I'm going to start with. We're using the Boox Go 10.3 because if you ask me, in my opinion, the Boox platform has some of the best organization and multitasking tools that you can find on eInk. And to make this commonplace book, we're going to explore using a couple of those tools. We're going to be using links. We're going to be using tags. We'll use the outline feature or tool. We're going to hop in the Neo Reader and use some tools in the Neo Reader as well. And we will use push read. So let's hop into it and see what we come up with. All right, so if you guys are familiar with my filing structure that I use on all of my tablets, you guys know I have my archive, my creative, my daily, and then of course my projects. So we went over that filing structure a couple of videos ago. So we're gonna find our commonplace book or commonplace journal. It's gonna be in my daily folder, and here it is here. It's gonna be my commonplace journal. Inside of the commonplace journal, I'm going to have two main categories that I have split up into two different notebooks for right now. First category is going to be ideas and insight. Next one is going to be reflections. And as we dive into each one of those notebooks, I'll show you guys exactly what we'll put there. So I'll start off by showing you guys how I normally have my Boox tablet set up for easy access. So this is what I usually keep my notes homepage on. It's going to be my favorites. Your favorites tab, you can have as many favorites. You're not limited to a certain number of favorites. So you can have as many favorites as you want on this tab. So I keep it on my favorites, and I will throw notebooks that I'm currently using in my favorites tab, so I can quickly grab them from no matter where I am on the tablet. And of course, you have your recent files. These are going to be your recent files that you've opened. So let's hop into that ideas and insights, and we will talk about how we are setting up our commonplace notebook. So the main tools that we're going to use for our commonplace journal are going to be Boox Read. We're going to use some tags. We'll use some links, we will use the outline, and we will use the Neo Reader. Now, these are features and tools that I'm not going to use for every entry, but for some entries, I will use a combination of some of these tools, maybe just one. But it's also going to be a good showcase so you can see how these features work on the Boox tablet, and you can choose which tools or features that you want to use within your own workflow. So we are here in Push Read. And so when you're working on your Boox tablet and you want to use Push Read, all you have to do, whatever website you're on, you go into the web browser, you copy the URL, bring it over here, paste the URL, and hit add. So from here, we're going to go to push read. So here we are to our push read entry, and we are on the Elegoo website for the Mars 5 Ultra, and it operates just like the normal website. So it looks like we're in ultra fast mode. So now that I have pulled the information on the 10.3 through the push read, there are a couple of different ways that I can use this information. I could just use the web page. I want to move it to a file that's a little easier for me to use, to annotate, to copy and paste if I want to move some information over. We're going to tap once at the top, and we're going to share this. Once you hit share, you get a couple of different options of how you can share it. You can share this as a pure link, as a PDF, or you can share it as an EPUB. Let's share it as an EPUB. And we're going to hit OK. Once we hit OK, it exported as an EPUB. Now I want this information to be in my Commonplace journal anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and share it to my Commonplace journal because that was my goal, to get that information there anyway. Once I hit share, it's going to take me to my recent notes. Now, of course, you can move this to anywhere you want to within your notes app. However, I wanted to go to my recent notes. Now that I'm on my recent notes, I'm going to go to my ideas and insights. Once I go to ideas and insights, now you'll see that link to the EPUB that we just exported the web page to is here. I'm going to long press because I want to move it. We'll move it right here. So now we have a link to our source information, which is the Elegoo Mars 5 resin printer. Now let's check what that EPUB looks like. We're going to open it in NeoReader. So now that we are in NeoReader, we have the website that we have converted into an EPUB. So let's go over and move some information from NeoReader to our notebook. So now that we are in NeoReader, we have converted our website that we brought over through push read to an EPUB. And now you have all the tools that you would normally have within NeoReader for an EPUB or PDF. So a lot of times I'll go through and I will bookmark some things. Of course, you have your annotations if you make any annotations or highlights, anything like that. If the website had a table of contents, this is where it would be. It only will take you to the first page. So we have a couple of bookmarks, so we'll check those out. So from here, let's find some information that I might want to move over to my notebook that I feel like is important. So if this was some information that I wanted to move over to the notebook, I would simply use my smart annotation tool. And now I can select the information that I want to move over. So let's do that. So now that I have selected some information I want to move over to the notebook, I have a couple of ways that I can move it. I can simply copy and paste it over. I could actually just link this over with the link, but we're going to use our share tool again. This time we're going to generate a picture. I like to use this feature because it gives me a little bit of more information. First off, you can format your picture however you want it. It's also going to attach some information of where you pull this information from. So you will have information from the source file, and of course your information will be there. And they have a couple of different styles. So you just pick the style that you want to use. So we're going to go with this style. Once we've identified the style that we want to use, we're going to go to share. Once we have selected share, it's just like the last time. We're going to choose how we want to share it or where we're going to share it to. So we're going to go back to our notes. And like last time, we're going to go to our ideas and insights folder or notebook. And now we've saved our picture. Once you have your picture in your notebook, you can move it to where you want to. You can format it however you want to format it. So we'll long press it, shrink it a little bit, move it over to the side. I'll do this a couple of times depending on how much information that I want to bring over. Let's say if I don't want to make the picture and I want to handwrite it, then I'll handwrite that out as well. And what's cool about this method is I have my initial notes that I wrote down. I have some important information that I wanted to bring over. And then I also still have the link back to the original source. So now let's navigate back to the notebook. And to navigate back to our notebook, we are going to use the multi-switcher. The multi-switcher is one of the tools that I use that will allow me to jump back and forth between documents anywhere on the tablet pretty quick. So you're going to do a swipe down at the top. That's going to bring up your bottom menu. From there, I'm going to go to my multi-switcher. The multi-switcher will have multiple icons from documents, third-party apps, notes, reading material that you have currently been using. You can choose to lock this in place, or you can remove it, clear up some space. The one drawback to the multi-switcher is that you only can have one Notes app window. Now that we're back to our notes, we're going to do a couple of more things just to set up organization. So the first thing that I'm going to show you all is how I'm going to index this out. And I'm going to use the outline tool. The outline tool is going to let me build a table of contents of my information, which will be important once I get more entries in and I merge this with other notebooks. So I'll show you guys what I have set up already. So we're going to go to our page view. And for my page view, we're going to go to outline. So now if you look at the outline, I've already set up an outline and sub outline. So I set up the first outline by date, so you'll see 2/12/26. And once I select 2/12/26, it's going to take me back to that page for that date. I made a sub outline for 3D printing. So now we're going to make a tag. We're going to make a tag for our 3D printing entry. We're going to use our smart lasso. And now we're going to create a tag. So we're going to have the 3D printing tag, and we're also going to add our commonplace tag. So now we know this sits in our commonplace notebook or our commonplace book. And we're also going to add the tag of 3D printing. And now we have a tag. So now when we navigate back to our multi-page view, you'll see that we have new tags. We have the commonplace tag, and we also have the 3D printing tag. When we select 3D printing, of course, it's going to take us to that area that we tagged for 3D printing. Something else I did with my outline is I made a 3D printing entry for my sub outline. So that way, every time I have 3D printing as a sub outline, I can find it within my notes. So from the outline view, you see we have our date. When I select the arrow down, now it's going to take us to our 3D printing. We just completed my first entry into my first Commonplace book. We inserted an entry into the ideas and insights category. And in making that entry, we were able to use a couple of different tools. From the outline tool, we used a little bit of linking. We used the copy and paste function or sharing function between the reader and the notes app. We were able to put in some links back to our original content that we pulled from. And we were also able to bring some information from the web using push read. We were also able to show some examples of how you can quickly navigate around the tablet, jump in between documents, jump in between different applications, whichever one you want to do. Boox offers you some great organization tools, some great multitasking tools, and a great way for you to navigate around your tablet in a quick, effective way. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did you like the workflow? Did you like the tools we used? And do you even like the idea of coming up with a commonplace journal or book? And if you have created a commonplace journal or book, let me know what you're putting in yours. What kind of information are you putting in yours to share with yourself, your family, or the world? Thank you guys for checking out the video, and we'll see you on the next one.